I love what you're up to and however I can
Well, thank
support
you.
you. So
Thank you.
tell
Thank
me, like,
you.
what's going on with like you and why you're considering food truck stuff. I mean, I saw something about cupcakes a long time ago. Is it in the cupcake world? Is it a different world? Tell me what's going on.
You know what? Here's the thing. I love I love the idea of what food does to people. I love how let me back up. So when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 21, I knew how to make scrambled eggs and pancakes.
Okay.
Um, my my scope was very, very small. And so I just kind of had to learn, obviously. I mean, you can survive on scrambled eggs and pancakes, but it gets very boring.
Yes.
So I just kind of started experimenting and having fun with it. And it was something that I loved. I loved making, you know, making up new recipes and just having fun in the kitchen. And it's something that like my entire life is very black and white. Like I love order. I love, routine, but in the kitchen, it's different. Like that's where I get to like just express and just have fun and experiment. And if things don't work out, then whatever, trash it and, try something else.
Yeah.
But like I love that part of food. I love that it connects people. I love that it's like common ground for people. Um, but, and so I always like, for the last several years, like I've just kind of played around with the idea of, I don't know, it'd be fun to have a restaurant someday, or it would be fun to, I love cooking for people. I love to hear, you know, I cook every night for my grandparents right now. And they have 24-hour care. And so I take care of them in the evenings. And so I cook dinner. And my grandpa has all these restrictions on his diet, and he's very, very picky. And so I've been having to come up with things that he likes and that he'll eat and that fit his restrictions. And it's been so much fun to hear somebody that's so picky and so just, he doesn't like anything. He's never satisfied, but he just raves. And I'm like, I like that. I like to make like, I like to make him happy. I like to, create things like that.
Yeah.
But it just, so I've always kind of had it in the back of my mind, like it would be fun to have a restaurant, but I'm not sure I want to have a restaurant. Like I don't, I don't want that lifestyle. Like I don't, like I've talked to people that own restaurants, that work in restaurants, that like, and so then I'm like, what about a food truck? Like I wonder if that's any different. Like I wonder, like, I don't want to live in a restaurant. I don't want to spend my entire life, working like that might be for some people. It's not for me from what I've heard, from what I know. But some like playing around with that idea of what about a food truck? What if I could do that? And desserts is what I love to create. That's kind of my sweet spot. No pun intended.
Cue the dad joke. Thank you.
But and I did have a cupcake business for a couple of years, but I was also working like 70-80 hours a week
Yeah.
on top of that. So there's only so much I could do. So
Right.
that had to go. But so just that's kind of where I'm at. I know that's a lot of different things all tied in, but that's kind of
So what about not working in a restaurant? Did you that doesn't resonate with you?
um there's and of course I haven't talked to a lot of people, but the few people that I have talked to that either own restaurants or manage restaurants or chefs, like that is their life, that is all they do. And I want to have a family. What I love about what I do right now is I have freedom. And if it's something that I want bad enough and it's worth it to me, like I'm willing to sacrifice some things. I'm willing to sacrifice time. I'm willing to put the time in, but I want to know that it's going to be worth it to me, you know. And food trucks, I know so little about that. I don't even know if it's something that I want. I don't know if it's something that I would be willing to, you know, I know there's a lot of sacrifices that, you know, have to be made in, you know, in starting businesses like this, any business really. But I'm not at a point where I'm like, yes, that's what I want, you know.
Right.
I'm in the stage where I'm like, okay, tell me what it's like. Tell me what is the lifestyle that comes along with it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I live in an area where we don't really have food trucks. So there's nobody, you know, I can't go and, you know, pick somebody's brain. We have a little like pop-up food truck. They're there when they, you know, and that's a whole other thing. Like, I think that that's cool. Like, they run it when they want to and shut it down when they don't. But
Right.
I mean,
not Lubbock. Where are you in Texas?
I'm in Waxahachie.
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 That's
Say
right.
that 5 times
Right.
fast.
I had a friend from Waxahachie.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and so about the cupcake stuff, I mean, clearly when you have a full-time job that's taking up, you know, 60, 70 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
you can't devote time to order and stuff like that. But were you cooking them at your house and delivering them?
Mm-hmm.
How was that executed? And, you know, tell me about that, like how you fulfilled those orders and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was all out of my house. I just did it, you know, at night
Yeah.
after work. It was all word of mouth, all just local. I tried shipping, didn't work very well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, but I was at a point in my life where like that, it caused more stress than it was worth. And with having a full-time job that was very demanding, you know, it got to where it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I was putting in so much time, and the profit just wasn't, you know,
Right.
so.
So I totally understand wanting to, you know, that level of like, oh, this is what you made, and you know, like serving people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
serving people what you created,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the love language of food, and it's something that I see all the time. I'm more of service oriented
Mm-hmm.
than the actual creation of the food, but I love people who are in the space of, a lot of the food truckers are like chefs and preparers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had 3 restaurants and I don't even cook really.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How'd that happen?
Right.
But the times that I did, like, I more like enjoyed being out, being, you know, behind the bar and like, you know, party guy, you know, like making
Mm-hmm.
sure everybody's happy kind of stuff or whatever. But like really getting that, really seeing, this is what I've learned in my 6, 7 years of the actual people doing the food trucks, is they have this, like, they just love serving. They
Mm-hmm.
love making and serving. And you get such a more, like a closer one-on-one relationship interaction. It's like very rarely do you as a consumer get to interact directly with an owner of the business,
Yeah.
right? But like you get this kind of like, there's just such a little barrier of entry between you as a consumer and the business owner. So it's like, I think the owners who are doing the food trucks are relationship driven.
Yeah.
That's what I really appreciate with working with them. So I mean, I know you're relationship driven, so I mean that's a natural fit as well. However, with that said, and I was just driving past one of my food truck clients this morning. He's got this big bus. It's like a big school bus. It's been
Yeah.
RWBs. Such a hard. He's a retired veteran guy. Such a hard worker. Just bust his tail. I mean, and I was just like, man, there are some hard working. I just really, really respect like the level of work that they do.
Yeah.
Because my perspective coming from, you know, when I opened my restaurants, I had my restaurants from 2005 to 2010, and it was in DC, Northern Virginia. There wasn't an option to open a food truck first to kind of like test your concept, or,
Yeah.
hey, is this going to work? Or, I wanted a restaurant because I wanted the business model. I wanted the franchise business model,
Yeah.
to build a business and then have it replicated and take a percentage of all those other businesses. I wanted to be the franchisor. Franchisor? Yes. I wanted to be the franchisor. So that was my original thing. So we ended up opening 3 corporate locations, but then we expanded too fast and then the economy tanked and we ended up selling them and not franchising them.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, from my perspective, running a food truck is harder than running a restaurant.
Really?
So like I personally it'd be very unlikely for me to do a food truck just because I've seen the perspective so that kind of leads me into my next question in terms of like, other than wanting that feeling of satisfaction of, yes, what I create makes a difference for you. And like, you just like that. You have that relationship with food and the creation. I get that. You're in the kitchen and you're putting things together and you're making it. And you just like, you're like, here's my heart. And oh my God, like, I totally get that. Other than having that experience on a more consistent level, if you were in the food truck space, what's your other intention with it? You want it to be a business? Does it need to sustain a certain level of income? I mean, I know you do writing and you have a bunch of other things. I'm not even sure exactly what you have going on in the career space. So that would be my other question in terms of like, what is your intention for it on a money basis? Or would it just be kind of almost like a hobby thing?
I mean, if I do it, I don't want it to be a hobby. Like,
Okay.
I like having like hobbies for hobbies. I'm not into like starting businesses as a hobby. Like, if I'm going to do it, I want it to make money. I want it to be successful. Like I don't want to play around with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know the marketing of this particular industry. Like, I think in marketing terms, like, about everything. As our conversation the other day.
I know. I was like funnels. Oh.
I was like, oh my gosh, like it just goes. But like, I don't know this industry, and so like I don't know. I guess the niche, but yeah, like I don't want to play. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I want it to be successful, and yeah. So, and I know that there's so many different directions that you can go with it, but I just, yeah. Like, how do you even learn about this?
Well, you start with conversations with me. Sorry, I couldn't let that one lie. So were you thinking about doing dessert or food?
Initially I was thinking food, but I feel like maybe desserts would be a better fit for me. So
it's because that's been your background and you just enjoy the baking component.
Yeah. Like, baking desserts just come so like naturally. I just I don't even think, just throw stuff together. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, just, yeah. And they're easy.
So, I mean, do you have so I would say the original, most everybody who starts a food truck, their goal is restaurant or some other franchise. So I'll tell you, the first year that I was in business, opening a restaurant, it took me about 3 years of my restaurant before I was at a space where I could work 20, 25 hours a week.
Yeah.
I had managers I could trust. I had a business. A business is something that makes you money when you're not doing it.
Right.
So it's not that restaurants can't be businesses. It's just that they're very challenging to be businesses. It's easy to be self-employed as a restaurant owner. It's almost inevitable to be self-employed as a food truck owner. So you're going to be in there just because you're watching the bottom line. You know, you're not going to pay somebody X amount of dollars per hour to be there to cover X amount of sales. So the sales, that's the other thing I want to say. The sales, I've seen very low, like there's not a lot, it's just not a lot of money in food trucks. I mean,
Okay.
their gross sales ranges that I've seen, because I've brokered sales of food trucks. So I've seen different, you know, profit and loss statements and things like that. Their sales, you can range anywhere from, I'd say, $90,000 to $100,000 gross. That's gross for the year. Anywhere between 100 and 300. If you're at 300 gross, you're doing pretty well. You've got a really good location. Either your location strategy is really worked out, meaning, you know, you're next to, I don't know, where a dessert, where a cupcake type place would, where a good successful place, you know, you're right next to a restaurant that doesn't have desserts, or you just got a really good location. And you're doing a lot of caterings or events or pop-up events, or you know, things for you to think about. Also that I've seen success in is people have trucks as well as trailers. So their trailers are at stationary spots, and then their trucks are going out to all the events. So they're doing events, festivals, caterings, weddings. But you can also follow that model by doing pop-ups. If you only have like one truck or trailer, you know, having your stationary spot and then doing different pop-ups. You know, you got like a little booth, you know, tables and things set up. As like almost like a surrogate caterer. But you know, depending on what your overall strategy is for the amount of income you want to generate, that's why I asked if it's a business, like if you just want to like be open when you're open and do the cupcakes and, you know, have this or the other, then, you know, it might generate enough sales, versus like if you're going to have this full-time thing, you need to be like booking events, having a location, doing all the marketing and stuff, which you've got that benefit to you. But there's no easy pass to get out of the you having to be there. And so, but I say, I mean, if you're at get to the point where you have cupcake places that are open, like restaurants, that has a possibility of being a business. You know, you look at the successful businesses, and I don't know, maybe you're just, not to say whoever, I don't know whoever you're talking to that has restaurants, but you know, they can be businesses to where you're not in there 50, 60 hours a week, all the time, getting sucked in. It's a matter of building a team, building a brand that people want to work with and work for, and all the things that go into the branding of it. And all of the things that go into developing, you know, the relationship of the business that you have, which you've already gotten all that training and then some, you know, in terms of like creating something where people want to work there because they feel good, they feel like it's family, they feel like they're valued, and all the other things. So the employee retention, building a business that attracts and retains employees. So it's all connected, right? But for me, the end goal would have to be, oh, we're going to have a restaurant someday, or we're going to have a fleet of cupcake catering. Like you're going to focus on, you're just going to do cupcake catering and cupcakes are going to come to you, or because otherwise, if your goal is not a business, then it's just going to be, oops, are you still there?
There you are. Okay. You froze for a second.
Where did I lose you?
You were talking about a fleet of.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, if your goal kind of has to be that the restaurant, or like a fleet of trucks, that's cupcake catering or whatever it is, that they're going to you, because in that regard, it's going to be a business and not just a job, because it's a job. It's a self-employment thing. You're self-employed. You know, people want to say I'm a business owner. Well, if it is dependent upon your work to generate income, it's a job. Not a business.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, and I'm building that myself still too. Like
Yeah.
I had a business and now I'm self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, a business is something where you can take a Tuesday off and you're going to generate $3,000 to $5,000 in sales,
Right.
like a restaurant or something you can step
Yeah.
away from.
Right.
So the food trucks don't have that step away from possibility, just because the cash flow is so much lower and smaller.
Okay.
Now,
That makes sense for sure.
the point of entry is a lot smaller though too. You're not having to generate, come up with $300,000 to $500,000 to open up, a restaurant, and you don't have
Right.
a 5-year lease, and you don't have to tie yourself down and do all these
Yeah.
things. Food trucks are a lot lower cost to enter, so you can
Mhm.
open up something for maybe 15, 20, maybe 30. I mean, I've seen people open stuff for as little as 20 and as much as 100. So it
Mhm.
just depends on what your concept is and how crazy you want to go with the execution of it.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's still a whole lot cheaper than a restaurant, and
Right.
you get to determine which neighborhoods work,
Mhm.
which markets work. You get to move around. You get to figure out this, that, and the other. So you have a lot of flexibility that you wouldn't necessarily have with a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, that's why the trajectory is, you're building your brand, you're building your following, you're building your business, you're deciding on your market, you're deciding on your location, you're deciding all these things. And now it's like, okay, now take it to the next level of opening a brick and mortar.
Mhm.
So I would say your challenge would be like, if there's something around you thinking running a restaurant looks a certain way,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to look that way based on who you've already talked to.
Yeah.
But if that's what's keeping you from that end goal, or if it's really like you don't think you like, because it's a hell of a lot of work. It is. I
Yeah.
don't want to like sugarcoat it,
Yeah.
because it's a lot of work. So food trucks, you have all the stuff with the restaurant. You have employee stuff, marketing stuff, production stuff, food costs, labor costs, all the things. And on top of all that, you got to worry about where you're going, where you're parked, who's doing the events, where are you doing the production, where are you going to store your stuff.
Mhm.
The storage is a huge issue. Like grocery shopping, very rarely do you get your groceries delivered like you can at a restaurant, because
Mhm.
the major houses like Cisco and places like that, they come in like 40-pound, 25-pound bag of flour or whatever.
Right.
That's the smallest they come. So the distributors aren't necessarily servicing, and rightfully so. I mean, to get to a cost point, it's a
Mhm.
volume game. You need to buy these bigger volume things. So you're spending a lot of time going grocery shopping and things like that. Now you can have people deliver stuff to you. You just have to it's just another thing to manage of where you're
Right.
putting everything and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Getting it permitted and built out, all that is part of a process. And I'll have like a checklist for people, like do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like the end goal, if it needs to replace an income, like it's going to need to be at like, I would think like the 500,000 and plus sales. I mean, most people are doing, if they're doing 100 grand, their profit margin is anywhere between 20 and 30%.
Mhm.
You do have a lower overhead
Right.
with a food truck. You're not spending a ton of money on rent. So you do have a lot lower overhead. So you're able to get a bigger percentage.
Yeah.
But owner operators I've seen in the $30,000 to $60,000 range. So not a lot of
Gotcha.
money.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money. They do it because they're going somewhere,
Yeah.
and they're self-employing themselves while they build a business, or they're on
Yeah.
the way to build a business.
Okay. That makes sense for sure.
So, one of the other guys I talked to, he built his business through events. He wasn't parked at one stationary spot.
Yeah.
He only did events. So if there's no one doing it in Waxahachie, you're the only one doing it, you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
I don't know why no one's doing it in Waxahachie. Is there permitting issues? The health department, are they mobile food friendly? That's something to kind of get clear on as well.
Like they have people come in, they have a bunch of trucks come in like for events and stuff. Anytime there's like festivals and that kind of stuff. But there's one, like there's a couple little stands, like there's a taco stand and, a couple of places like that, but there's no like actual trucks.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what the difference is between, having like a taco stand and like, yeah, I don't know if there's a difference in all of that, but
I would look at their city, either the city or the county health department and the mobile food permitting,
okay.
because the health department manages food permits. And so even there's something existing for mobile food for the restaurants who cater for events
Yeah.
that typically they apply for food trucks,
Okay.
unless they have some sort of special stipulations. And your special stipulations from a city municipality level
Hmm.
pertain to parking, usually like where are you allowed to park, where can you
Gotcha.
stay,
Yeah.
type of things.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's the other thing to think about is are you going to execute through events or a stationary space or a combination of the two?
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it's just a little bit to do.
You know.
That makes that makes
Yeah. No, all of this makes sense for sure. A lot to look into and think about and
yeah. I mean,
consider.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's interesting for me because it's kind of like I see you as someone who like wants to make a difference, who's already making a difference in the world, you know. But I also see you as someone who's up to making more of a difference. I'm like, ooh, what's Mary Howard going to do today? So it's very people who own their own food businesses and food trucks and restaurants in particular.
Mhm.
Something that I didn't have the awareness of when I was running my restaurants. That I'm like, oh, I wish I could just like go back to like 2005 and like bitch slap that version of myself. But truly like understand the impact that you have. Like it's just so great. Like just that you're an employer, to be that space where
Mhm.
you get to call the shots and you get to hold the space for your customers
Mhm.
through what you create and how you create it and the way you
Yeah.
present it and all of the things. You're like delivering an experience,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what like excites me,
Yeah.
is creating an experience for people. And I've seen both sides of, like food can be a really hard and intimidating and just we live in a culture that either celebrates it or demonizes it. And I've seen both sides of it. And I know what it's like for it to be such a hard thing, but I also know what it's like for it to bring people together and to be something that connects and, just creates an experience that it, it, I think it's supposed to connect us, like I love every single night after dinner, my grandma will eat dinner. They have dessert every single night, which I love. I think everybody should have dessert every night. Because why the hell not? But she
Yes.
finishes and she pushes back from the table. She says, well, I'm a stuffed dumpling. And it is the
Cute.
cutest thing ever. Like I always said, even when I was a kid, like she's always done this, but I always said that if I ever opened a restaurant, I would call it the stuffed dumpling, because of that.
Adorable.
But she does it, and like she has created this. Our whole family, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody, we get together on the third Sunday of every month, and we have lunch, and we celebrate the birthdays for the month, and we just
That's cute.
spend that time together. And it's all over this nice home cooked meal. Everybody brings a dish, and we all just get together and enjoy each other. And like that that's what I love, like that experience, that
Yeah.
togetherness. And I'm like, there's people who don't have that,
Yes.
I've been so blessed in that. And I didn't value it when I was a kid at all. But now, like, I love it. And I want to create that kind of feeling, that kind of, coming home, and it just like that excites me.
Yeah.
So, and to be able to create that. And also, I I do want to be in a place where I can provide jobs, where I can provide, you know, that feeling of home in a workplace, you know,
Uh-huh.
because I've had some great workplaces and I've had some awful, horrible, you know, just traumatic, really.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to create a workspace for people like that, you know, and
Yeah.
I think it's so possible. And I think it's an industry where it's not always like that. You know, it can be a very hard, very intense, very just negative environment. You
Yeah.
know, I've worked in those,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
know, I don't think it has to be that way.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Like, I think that's kind of my approach to most things is like, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, it
Right.
can be different.
Right.
So, and
And
I
so
think if we approach things that way, like, it doesn't have to be that way.
right.
What
Yeah.
if we look at it from this perspective? So,
Yeah. So I mean that's why I would, invite you to consider the possibility that, running a restaurant looks different for different people.
mhm. Yeah.
Running a food truck looks, I mean, there are successful food trucks and there are not successful food trucks. I mean, what defines I mean, there's a number of like logistical things that could define the difference. But I mean, if somebody's doing something strictly for money, then chances are it's going to be a lot harder than if they're doing something like what you said, like your intention. You just
Mhm.
want to create that community and create that space of service and that feeling of
Mhm.
comfort and all of the things. Like that's a different, for me, that I hear a different motivation in that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's the distinction that I hear as a possibility for you, and just to maybe get maybe lean into. I use the phrase like lean into. It's just
Mhm.
like just kind of explore it a little bit more of the
Yeah.
resistance that you have to not opening a restaurant and determining how if that's a genuine like no, or if it's ooh, that sounds scary, or ooh, that sounds hard, or ooh, like if it's a resistance that you get to train and push through like a marathon,
Right.
or if it's
Oh,
if it's an honest no,
yeah.
because that's the level. That's what I'd say. Like lean into that and like explore that any of just like feeling like a lot of times I like to do. It's called some people call it like body testing.
Uh-huh.
I think it's called. Oh no, it's muscle testing. Have you heard of the term muscle testing? Or
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, so a lot of times like you'll push down, like you'll
Mhm.
say like a positive statement and it'll stay firm, and if you say like a negative or something that's untrue, like my name is
Yeah.
George, and it goes down, like my name is Case and it stays strong, like stays,
Yeah.
which is ironic because my name is my legal first name is Brian, so like I'm like Brian.
Right. Who am I?
Who am I? I'm everything. I'm no one. uh,
I
but the
am
same
whoever I want to
principle
be.
is too, like you can like tap here your hypothalamus and kind
Uh-huh.
of like stand and kind of declare a sentence of like I have this, or I am this, or I go here, or whatever it is you're kind of looking for direction on. And the energy that is all of that we are, that we tap into when we like let ourselves relax, you can feel being pulled forward or feel a no.
Huh.
You can
Yeah.
almost feel it energetically. So it kind of takes some time to like relax and meditate and do all that. But if there's anything, it's an opportunity for clarity. It's
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
clarity of like, ooh, no, or like, yeah, it's scary, it's hard, and I don't know, or
Yeah.
do you have any? Have you worked in restaurants before? I didn't ask you that.
I worked in one restaurant a few years ago,
For how
but
long?
like a year.
Okay. Did you
So
love it?
yeah.
Need it?
I actually really liked it.
Okay.
And it was just a few nights a week to make money for a trip to Israel. But
Mm,
this was on top of my full-time job and cupcakes.
wow.
Um,
You're young.
I was young. That aged me.
Exactly. I'm sure.
But no, I loved it. And it was a small cafe in Kerrville. But yeah, it was so fun. Just, getting to know like all of my regulars and just getting to know people It was
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
So
I miss that about my restaurants, you know,
yeah.
definitely. I'm kind of getting into the space now where my like community is all over the place.
Hmm.
Some people recognize me if I go to a different food truck but I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. I don't have this like central thing where I was always, you know,
Right.
like, oh, there's Bud Light John, and there's, you know, we called him
Yeah.
Bud Light John because he came in every Monday and he drank a 6-pack of Bud Light.
That's funny.
Like, put an extra 6 on ice. John.
I had my carrot cake couple on Thursday nights.
Yeah, yeah. But I had the same thing with, you know, like I call them the vitamin people, and they put out their vitamins after their meal, their vitamins for their
That's funny.
a napkin lady who always asked for napkins when she was cold.
Oh
She
my
literally
gosh.
cover herself in napkins. We're like, but anyway, I honestly admit that's a part of it I think that I miss.
Yeah.
That does come with the restaurant, and you get regulars too with food trucks. I hear this with a lot of food truck owners. We love our regulars. We love, you know,
Hmm.
that and the other. It's a lot more manual labor, and it's
Yeah.
building towards something more permanent. Is the
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you too much information. Like, what are you thinking?
No, I mean, it's exciting. It's a lot, but it's very exciting. Just, I guess, kind of to have some direction on like, just what to be thinking about and researching and just kind of, I guess, clarifying for myself, like
Uh-huh.
what I want and where I want to go. And, you know,
I lost you.
which is probably the case, the type of person that would open a restaurant, like those kind of thoughts, you
Uh,
know? So I don't know. There's a lot to think through,
yeah.
but it's exciting for
Yeah, because I
sure.
heard, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard like resistance to the restaurant and food truck because it's easier, maybe. Or you had an idea
Yeah,
that it
like
could be
that.
easier.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why you were kind of leaning towards exploring the food truck option. And so
yeah.
it's, I feel like I'm saying it's not easier. It's less
Um,
risk and less money.
and I think that's it. I think that's where my head is. And like, as I was thinking through it and I was talking to my mom about it, like, okay, well, what if I did this? And it's from the very little that I know, like less risk, less, just less everything, but maybe not. you know, it sounds like it's not less time. It's not less,
Right. It's no less time, no less work,
right.
less money across the board.
Yeah.
Investing less and you're making less.
Right.
And
Which,
there's less risk.
yeah,
So
you
I've
got
seen,
to kind of weigh that.
yeah, I've seen success with people who launch in farmers markets on the
Hmm.
weekends. Like they have
Yeah.
a full-time job or they have their consistent income or they're doing whatever for their money.
Yeah.
And then so kind of similar to maybe what you did with the cupcake thing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, what are your thoughts on kind of revisiting that? The
Yeah.
cupcake.
No, like I've thought about that too. And I've been starting to kind of take some orders here and there, just local. I've gotten into making like sugar cookies now, like the decorated, which are super fun. I made my first ones at Christmas just because I always wanted to. I always watch the videos on Instagram.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I tried it for the first time and oh my gosh, it's so much fun, but so much work.
Really hard. You have to charge a fortune to cover
Yes.
labor.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I had a bunch of orders at Valentine's Day
Uh,
and didn't charge near enough. And so I was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm done.
yeah.
But like, I've been kind of thinking about starting to do more of that, just, because I can do that out of my house. I can do that, on the weekends. I can do it when I have time,
Yes.
you know? So yeah.
There's something too like in exploring what stuffed dumpling would look like.
Yeah.
Because that's adorable. That brand. I just don't know how you could execute. I mean, you could execute that on a dessert level. I would explore that if I were you, because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I want a stuffed dumpling. Like, it could be really cute.
Yeah.
I was sold on it. Grandma sold me.
Right. The other thing, she also always called all of the grandkids Sugar Babe. Like that was her nickname for us. And she has dementia. It's pretty bad. It's really sad. But she just is not herself anymore.
Yeah.
But the other night, she called me that for the first time in probably a couple of years. And I was like, like it was the cutest thing. And I was like, that would be a cute name for like a dessert, sugar babes.
Sugar babes.
But
You'd have to get a waiver from the sugar babies.
Sugar babies. Ugh.
I don't even like sugar babies. Have you had
No.
sugar babies?
Does anybody?
I used to eat them all the time, but I don't like them.
That's funny. But I'm like, my grandma got me going on all this food stuff.
Yeah.
But stuffed dumpling, that's, yeah.
It does sound, I don't know if it doesn't really, it sounds like a dinner thing, not a dessert
I know. That's, yeah. And that was my original idea, but.
Oh, was a dinner thing or a dessert thing?
Yeah. Like just food.
Oh.
Yeah. But I don't know. I've been kind of playing around with it and playing around like what would my menu be? Like just that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Brainstorming and coming up with different ideas.
Yeah, if you're open to keep it organic, like how it's been, like organic, not organic like organic food, like let it grow organically, like not be like, okay, I'm going to go spend 15,000, I'm going to go get a fundraiser, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to go buy, just like do the farmers markets, do the kind of just let's see what percolates.
You froze for a long time there. You said something about keeping it organic.
Yeah. Can you hear me or see me?
Yes.
Yeah, just, I was saying to like, let it grow organically, meaning like to go out to the food truck, to go out to the farmers markets and just not make it a big, like business pressure-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
To let it stay in that space of community and comfort and service, and just like let doors open or not. Maybe that gives you, maybe it's good that you're like, oh, I've got this on this weekend, or you've got 2 weekends in a month, and you're kind of fulfilling that need that you have to serve people and make them happy and do those things. And you're still giving yourself the time that you need for your job and your kids, whatever it is, your family or everything that you've got going on right now anyway.
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't necessarily want to worry about gigs and events and,
right.
You can choose.
Yeah.
For sure. Like given the time of life that you're in.
Yeah.
How you want to be that, so kind of just let it grow let the doors open as opposed to like kick them through.
Yeah, for sure. And like, this is not something that I see happening in like the immediate like future. I'm not at a place right now where I could, just dive in and do it. And so starting small like that, doing things like that, maybe with the intention of growing and, turning it into something bigger, maybe not, but
No.
there you are.
Hold on a minute. I was like, it was frozen, and then it kicked me out, and then I lost the internet connection.
Oh gosh.
Let me scarf down a bite. Um, you were saying you're at a, it's not like an immediate thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like starting small, doing farmers markets and, whatever stuff like that I can do, that's whether it's with the intention of growing and turning it into something, bigger in the future or not, it at least gets me, like you were saying, like it gets me out there, it gets kind of fulfills that need in
Yeah.
the meantime,
Yeah.
as I'm learning and as I'm, kind of figuring things out.
Yeah. Definitely check in with your city, and just a lot of them, they have the mobile food permits online.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if they have computers in Waxahachie.
Shut up. Our little hick ass town.
I know, like I moved about 10 miles south of Austin now,
Okay.
and that feels like the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Definitely check with them, and then there's a number of resources that you can connect to after that in terms of what to do next, like checklists and all that other stuff. But I mean,
Okay.
if you already have a bit of an idea of how you're branding, I mean, what were you branding your cupcakes as before?
Just I didn't really have a brand, really. Just kind of like, hey, I'm making cupcakes.
What did you, just like Cupcakes by Mary, or?
That's what it started as. Hold on just a second. Sorry. Hey, what? I'm on a call right now. Give me just a minute, okay? Huh? The checks? Yeah, I know. Sorry.
No worries.
My brother's been knocking on the door for 5 minutes. I'm like, what? But yeah, so like just yeah.
Oh, brand name.
Oh, yeah, like it was just Cupcakes by Mary for a long time. And
Uh-huh.
then it was it's slipping my mind.
Like, do you have, when you do the farmers markets, do you have like cards or any?
I don't, but I could. Should I? Do I need to? Is that important?
I mean, if you want to, if you
Still the
want,
brand,
yeah,
obviously.
I mean, if you want more business,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Yeah.
If you want to just say, I'm going to make my 300 cupcakes for Saturday, and that's all you want, then
Right.
really not a point.
Yeah.
And like being like, come back or order more, or let us, order
Right.
a dozen for your kid's party next week or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's always good to have follow up here, follow us and, do all of the things.
Yeah.
At least, it's an opportunity to build some kind of brand awareness or social media type stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
To if you do decide like, hey, yeah, we've gotten enough business now where we're going to have our own truck or we're going to have our own space or whatever it looks like, you already
Yeah.
have your built-in following. It's kind of
Right.
like your marketing now,
Yeah.
grassroots style.
Yeah, for sure. Build that list.
Yeah, you know it. So what are you doing? You're doing the grandparent. You're helping with your grandparents now. And are you
Mhm.
doing any other writing, marketing type work, business?
Yeah, I'm doing some like virtual assistant work and doing some social media. I guess social media manager is what I would be considered. But yeah, so just doing a little, for a few different people. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
mhm.
Well, we'll definitely have to continue the conversation around because it's my intention to help more people kind of in the space, whether or not the client that I talked to just previous to you today.
Yeah.
She had just started, like she doesn't even have her truck yet officially.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, but she's got like half of her money figured out, and then she's got the other half coming, and it's like she's getting all her ducks in a row, getting the plan together, and all those things.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting place to be in as well.
Yeah.
I want to help whoever along the way, the more people that I can help get clear, here's how to avoid, here's things to think about. I don't want anybody going into business and going out of business. I want to be clear on, this is why we're doing it, this is how we're doing it, and here's where we're going. Mm-hmm. And I don't want anybody, being like, ooh, I don't think I should do that, or, whatever.
Right.
Avoiding mistakes, avoiding costly mistakes. The whole like training and development world is something I'm very passionate about. So
yeah,
it's my intention that I eventually like get some sort of all the world that you're in terms of like funnels and generating and ebooks and get your free stuff and do this and do that. Like, I'm like, yes, let's talk more about that. Like,
yeah,
because I've seen it as a lot of people, it's a big need out there. And a lot of people, and particularly investors, are looking for, they won't give you $300,000 to open your own restaurant. They want to see you prove it.
Right.
As a food truck now, because that's how food trucks have changed the whole restaurant industry.
Gotcha.
For people who want to open their own restaurants, they kind of need to prove themselves now first.
Yeah.
So I want to help people in that process, however I can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I appreciate you being a willing, for thinking of me and reaching out to me, and then also being a willing participant in documenting the conversation.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being willing to just share and let me ask questions and help me get some clarity. Cause like I said, like I was like, this idea, all these ideas flying around, but I don't even know enough to be able to say, yes, I want to do that, or no, I don't.
Right.
And so, and I was like, I don't even know what to Google. Like, yes. I don't even know enough to Google it. That's bad.
Google, help me Google.
Right. How do I Google? Yeah. So, but thank you so much.